What's up, your boy Phone? Another reaction. In today's video, we have "You're Not a Method Actor, You're Just an Asshole" by Actors and Explained.
These are the actors who claim they're dedicated to their craft through method acting, but really just torture their coworkers and call it art. Jared Leto sent Margot Robbie a live rat while filming Suicide Squad. Not a fake one or a prop, but an actual living creature.
Jared Leto is a weirdo gang. That nigga in a cult. He's genuinely weird.
Will Smith received a box of bullets in the mail, the entire cast got a dead pig delivered to set, and other co-stars opened packages containing anal beads. Viola Davis described bluntly,
What? He sent all that Jared Leto? I know a nigga weird, but I didn't know he's that weird.
when she told reporters, he did some bad things. He gave some really horrific gifts, while director David Ayer admitted feeling mortified and telling Leto to put that stuff away. What makes this whole story absurd is what came next. All that commitment, all that chaos, all
That
those
nigga really thought he was the Joker. Nigga, but this Joker was trash. Nigga, you ain't Heath Ledger.
disturbing gifts resulted in Leto appearing on screen for approximately 7 to 15 minutes in the final cut. Rolling Stone called his performance a glorified cameo. The movie pulled in $749 million worldwide, but critics destroyed it with a 26% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, which raises an obvious question about what exactly got accomplished here, because great acting certainly wasn't part of the equation. Leto didn't learn anything from that experience. While filming Morbius in 2022, he insisted on staying.
Another flop. Morbius was trash. Let me see my camera. Cause I'm about to lean back in this chair. Alright. Cause the nigga's low-key tired.
In character as someone with a disability, which meant using crutches and limping everywhere on set. Bathroom trips became 45-minute expeditions, instead of the normal 5 minutes any functional human being would need, and this happened on a film set where time equals money, and dozens of people stood around waiting. The crew eventually brought in a wheelchair, so assistants could push him around faster and actually get work done. Daniel Espinosa confirmed the whole story as director, explaining that Leto believed he needed to experience the pain of those movements. Co-star Adria Arjona remembered fearing for his spine. Critics gave the movie a 15% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Leto won a Razzie for Worst Actor, and the worldwide gross came to $167 million on an $83 million budget. When the studio re-released it due to internet memes, opening day earned only $85,000. If Leto's behavior seems extreme,
Yeah, they reopened it because of memes. Dang, the memes was calling the movie trash. Like, what?
wait until you hear about Daniel Day-Lewis, because Day-Lewis might be the actor who convinced everyone else this kind of madness leads to greatness. My Left Foot came out in 1989 with Day-Lewis playing Christy Brown, an artist with cerebral palsy who could only paint with his left foot. Most actors would study the condition, maybe learn from someone who has it, talk to doctors, and research
What type of movie plot is that? A nigga with cerebral palsy who could only paint with his left foot. What? This movie peak, y'all. I need to start watching more movies, bro. I ain't watch a movie in a while, bro. I watch anime, I watch the Baki and shit. But
challenges. Day-Lewis refused to leave his wheelchair for the entire shoot, which meant crew members had to spoon-feed him meals between takes, lift him over equipment, and wheel him to the bathroom like he was actually paralyzed. Maintaining the hunched position for weeks broke 2 of his ribs. The Academy gave him Best Actor. His performance is incredible, but what cost did the people around him pay? These crew members weren't getting paid extra for this work. They signed up to do small jobs, not spoon-feed a fully capable adult man who refused to use his own hands for months. Living in the North Carolina woods for approximately 1 month became his preparation for The Last of the Mohicans in 1992. Day-Lewis hunted and fished his own food, refusing to eat anything he hadn't killed himself, learned to build canoes, carried a 12-pound flintlock rifle everywhere, including to Christmas dinner, and trained with U.S. Army Special Forces. The worldwide box office reached $143 million,
goddamn.
and Rotten Tomatoes gave it an 88% rating.
Damn,
Gangs of New
that's a
York
good movie.
in 2002 almost killed him. Period-accurate
I heard
1860s
of Gangs
clothing
of New
became
York.
his only wardrobe during the cold Rome winter, which meant he refused to wear a modern coat and caught pneumonia. He refused medical treatment at first, though someone eventually persuaded him to seek help before he died, which sources confirm nearly happened. He trained as a professional butcher, learned knife throwing from circus performers, sharpened knives between takes, picked fights with strangers on Rome streets while in character, and never broke character for 7 months straight.
Damn. But that nigga just serious about his job. Even though he kinda asshole, but nigga just serious about this acting shit. Every role he takes serious.
Leonardo DiCaprio worked with him on that film and described commitment as one thing. Then Daniel Day-Lewis, as something else entirely. Day-Lewis wouldn't even speak to DiCaprio for the entire 9 months of filming, so imagine being on set with someone for 9 months while they refuse to acknowledge your existence as a fellow actor. Day-Lewis stayed completely in character throughout filming There Will Be Blood in 2007, including throwing real bowling balls at Paul Dano during the famous milkshake scene. The Academy gave Day-Lewis his
And the Oscar goes to Daniel Day-Lewis and There Will Be Blood.
3 Best Actor Oscars makes Day-Lewis the only person ever to achieve that feat. He won the 3rd for Lincoln in
Damn. 3 best actors? Damn.
2012, and during that production, he insisted everyone on set call him Mr. President, including director Steven Spielberg. He sent text messages to co-star Sally Field, written in 19th century vernacular, signed as Abe or yours, A. Day-Lewis being so good made everyone else think this is what greatness requires. People started believing that losing their minds on set would deliver an Oscar, but spoiler alert, most of them just lost their minds without the trophy to show for it.
Uh,
The hygiene issue.
Nah, I feel like Timothy Chalamet, he going through his route. You know, he said on the stage he won't be one of the greats, and ain't nothing wrong with that. You know, he won't be one of the greatest all time. But nigga, you ain't no fucking. You're not no Leonardo DiCaprio. You not the new Leonardo DiCaprio, nigga. I never even watched the Timothy Chalamet movie. I ain't watched one yet. I ain't watched Dune. I ain't watched Marty Supreme.
Keeps coming up because apparently not showering counts as a major component of method acting for reasons nobody can explain.
What?
Day-Lewis didn't bathe for months while filming The Crucible in 1996, and he also built John Proctor's
Why?
house himself using 17th century
Okay, y'all niggas doing too much.
tools, and lived in it without electricity or running water. In 2025, Day-Lewis tried to clarify what he actually does. His explanation focused on how people misrepresent his process by focusing
Yeah, just look at the nigga. You like a hippie.
oh, he lived in a jail cell for 6 months, calling those the least important details. It's with the intention of freeing yourself so you present your colleagues with a living, breathing human being they can interact with, which means even he admits the extreme external behaviors miss the point. Christian Bale might be the most physically committed actor alive.
So you ain't take a shower for weeks, my nigga, and you ain't win no Oscar off that movie? Niggas be doing anything and don't get no nominations.
But at least he doesn't run around glorifying what he does. The Machinist in 2004 required losing
Oh yeah, yeah. Christian Bale, he done put his body through some shit, boy. He done put his body through some shit.
62 pounds, which dropped him to 120 pounds at 6 feet tall. Water, an apple,
Damn.
and 1 cup of coffee per day became his entire diet, with occasional whiskey thrown in. 99 pounds was his target weight, but filmmakers refused due to health concerns. The box office reached $8 million on a $5 million budget, and Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 77% rating. Batman
So the movie flopped.
casting came immediately after The Machinist wrapped. 6 weeks gave him time to bulk up for the screen test, 5 months total to reach the Batman physique. Gaining approximately 100 pounds required eating 6,000 calories per day, and he actually gained too much weight initially, which led to director
Damn.
Christopher Nolan asking him to lose 20 pounds before filming started. Body transformations throughout his career kept coming. For The Fighter, he lost 30 pounds and won his first Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. American Hustle required gaining 43 pounds, which caused back problems.
Like, gang, nigga, is this boxing or acting? Like, why the fuck you gotta do all this movie role? Like, gang, just put the fake fat suit on the nigga. Y'all be saying them fake fat stomachs, like.
Vice meant gaining over 40 pounds and spending 3.5 to 4 hours in makeup daily. For Ford v Ferrari, in 2019, he
Like
lost
niggas doing weight cuts for a movie just for the movie to not the flop and nigga to not get nominated.
70 pounds, his largest single weight loss. And when Matt Damon asked how he did it, Bale simply said, "I didn't eat." In 2019, Bale admitted, "I've become a little bit more boring now because I'm older and I feel like if I keep doing what I've done in the past, I'm going to die. So I'd prefer not to die." What separates Bale from some others on this list comes down to his method, primarily punishing himself instead of everyone around him. Staying in character off camera and demanding people call him by his character's name doesn't happen with Bale. He transforms his body, does the work, then goes home. That infamous audio leak from Terminator Salvation in February 2009 did capture him going on a 3 to 4 minute expletive-laden tirade at cinematographer Shane Hurlbut for walking into his eyeline during a scene, but Bale later publicly apologized and said, "I was out of order beyond belief. I make no excuses for it." Shia LaBeouf might be an even more extreme example than all of them. For the
But this nigga, Shia LaBeouf is a horrible person. This nigga just AWOL. Like,
World War II drama Fury, LaBeouf decided that showers were optional, as in he opted not to take a single shower for the entire 4-month shoot. LaBeouf
gang, yo musky ass, gang, bro.
himself confirmed this to Days Digital, saying, "I didn't bathe for 4 months. The smell got so bad that the cast had him moved out of the shared actors' accommodation to a separate hotel."
Shia LaBeouf, I would have picked your ass up and made you get in the shower. Like, I would have forced you to get in the shower, gang. Like, bro, stop playing. Like,
Far away from them. Lack of hygiene was just the beginning. LaBeouf also cut his own face for the role because
this nigga think he actually in the military. Like, you know, niggas in the military, they don't take showers for months or weeks. Like, especially if you deploy and you fighting on the ground. Your ass don't know when you gonna take a shower.
wounds didn't look real enough to him, which co-star Logan Lerman confirmed. He had a dentist pull out one of his teeth without pain relief, which director David Ayer verified as well. Fury turned out to be a solid film that earned a 76% on Rotten Tomatoes and made $211 million worldwide, and LaBeouf gave a
Okay, so it was a success.
good performance, but here's the question nobody asks. Would his performance have been any worse if he'd just showered? Method acting antics escalated with each project after that. On Lawless, he thought it was necessary to actually get drunk on moonshine during filming in order to play an alcoholic realistically. Director John Carpenter confirmed that LaBeouf was occasionally drunk on moonshine during filming, which led to him being aggressive and out of control on set. Reports of a physical altercation with co-star Tom Hardy started circulating, and while Hardy initially joked that LaBeouf knocked him out, LaBeouf later clarified on Hot Ones that they were play wrestling and Hardy fell down some stairs. An actual physical fight still occurred on set between two actors, which the director had to break up. The necessary death of Charlie Countryman featured LaBeouf's character taking drugs, so naturally LaBeouf actually took LSD on set. He told USA Today, "There's a way to..."
Gang, that nigga taking these roles seriously. Gang. Like, what the and he's still acting while on LSD and being drunk and still putting on a good performance.
do an acid trip like Harold and Kumar, and there's a way to be on acid. He complained to Interview magazine that the director wanted to break for lunch while he was tripping. Rupert Grint told The Guardian that he smashed the place up, got naked, and kept seeing this owl. Director Frederick Bond almost quit because of LaBeouf's behavior. The tax collector in 2020 would normally have most actors getting fake tattoos for their role as a gang enforcer. LaBeouf permanently tattooed his entire chest and stomach, which director David Ayer confirmed. Critics gave the movie an 18% rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Like, come on, did all this for 18% rating.
LaBeouf isn't even method acting anymore at this point. He's just exhausting, and
The nigga a schizo. Like,
most people don't want to work with him. In 2020, his ex-girlfriend, FKA Twigs, filed a lawsuit
yeah, this whole situation, this was sad. Like,
accusing him of sexual battery,
And he
assault, and knowingly infecting her with an STD, which they settled in 2024. LaBeouf himself said in 2020 that, "I have no excuses for my alcoholism or aggression, only rationalizations. I have been abusive to myself and everyone around me for years." Unfortunately, somewhere along the way, the original meaning of method acting got completely twisted into something unrecognizable. Method acting originated in early 20th century Russia through Konstantin Stanislavski. Actors at the time were performing like Victorian soap operas, with big gestures, fake crying, and fainting every 5 minutes. Stanislavski developed what he called the system over 40 years, from 1906 to 1938, with a simple idea at its core: stop pretending to be the character and start believing you are them. Creating emotional truth instead of melodramatic fakery became his goal. What most people don't know comes next. Stanislavski actually abandoned one of his early techniques called emotional memory in the 1930s because it was causing problems. American actors learned the earlier version of his system though, not the refined one he developed later. 3 different teachers evolved Stanislavski's ideas in 3 different directions when they came to America. Lee Strasberg co-founded the group theater and ran the Actors Studio, emphasizing emotional memory, which meant actors would use their own personal trauma to create authentic emotion. Think about your real pain, your real insecurities. Let the tears flow. Marlon Brando, James Dean, Marilyn Monroe, Paul Newman, Al Pacino, and Robert De Niro all studied under him. Stella Adler was actually the only American actor to study directly with Stanislavski in Paris in 1934, and she came back and broke with Strasberg over this whole approach. Learning that Stanislavski had moved beyond emotional memory changed everything for her. Adler believed actors should use imagination and the given circumstances of the script, not personal trauma. Drawing on the emotions I experienced, for example when my mother died, to create a role is sick and schizophrenic. That's her exact quote. The day Strasberg died, Adler said, "It will take the theater decades to recover from the damage that Lee Strasberg inflicted on American actors." Sanford Meisner taught at the neighborhood playhouse for 48 years as the third teacher. Living truthfully under imaginary circumstances became his approach through reacting to scene partners, not dwelling on internal psychology. He completely abandoned using personal memories in his method. Real method acting as originally conceived focused on psychology and emotion, not tormenting your co-stars or refusing to shower for months. The technique was internal, and none of these teachers ever suggested you should send dead
Like, yeah, you making niggas be around you and you smelling like shit. Like, come on.
animals to your colleagues, or lose dangerous amounts of weight. John Bernthal actually studied at the Moscow Art Theater founded by Stanislavski himself, and in April 2022, he said, "I guarantee you that making everybody call you by your character name and not showering for 8 months was not what Stanislavski had in mind with the method. Method acting's
Yeah, obviously, my nigga.
meaning has completely changed from an internal acting technique to an extreme sport. Tom Hanks learned the hard way that extreme method acting can actually kill you, which brings us to the hygiene issue again. Castaway in 2000 required Hanks losing approximately 50 to 55 pounds while refusing to cut his hair or shower. Production split into 2 parts with a 1-year hiatus so he could lose the weight.
Damn, you ain't had, like, bro, y'all can't just rub dirt on his body or something to make him look dirty. Like, y'all don't gotta have the nigga actually not take a shower, like.
And director Robert Zemeckis filmed What Lies Beneath during the break. Everything seemed fine until Hanks got a cut on his left leg during filming in Fiji and developed a life-threatening staph infection. He spent 3 days in the hospital. "You could have died from this thing," that's what the doctor told him. Production shut down for 3 weeks. Hanks later said, "I was there for 3 days with something that, believe it or not, almost killed me." The worldwide box office reached $429 million. But the movie stands as a perfect example of how these extreme physical transformations can have serious medical consequences. During a 2025 interview, Timothée Chalamet hinted at working with a smelly co-star on a Western years ago. Somebody was, quote unquote, in character the whole time, and just weren't washing, that's how he put it. The person's wife came to visit, and she didn't care about the smell either. Chalamet has only done one Western, which was Hostiles in 2017, and Christian Bale was also in that film. Confirmation remains impossible, but the
Y'all be Christian Bale stinky, yeah. He looks stinky.
internet has certainly speculated. Actors who did method acting the right way deserve attention here, the ones who did their homework without making everyone else miserable. Marlon Brando spent approximately 1 month at Birmingham Veterans Administration Hospital in Van Nuys, California, for the men in 1950. Living among paralyzed veterans, participating in physiotherapy and wheelchair training, racing wheelchairs down halls with real patients filled his preparation time. No rats, no bullets, no harassment, just research. Brando famously preferred Stella Adler's approach over Lee Strasberg's, and his 1994 autobiography even denounced Strasberg as a talentless exploiter. Robert De Niro got an actual New York City taxicab driver's license for taxi driver, license number 265216. He worked 12-hour shifts for approximately 1 month picking up real passengers. One passenger even recognized him and said, "Well, that's acting. 1 year the Oscar, the next year driving a cab." To prepare for The Godfather Part 2, De Niro traveled to Sicily and spent 4 months learning the Sicilian dialect. He won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor, and that's dedication without being insufferable. Al Pacino made himself appear blind for Scent of a Woman by not allowing his eyes to focus on anything. You don't focus your eyes, and what happens is you just go into a state. That's how he explained it to Larry King. He stayed in character on set, walking with a cane, never looking directly at anyone. He fell into a bush because he couldn't see it and scratched his cornea, but he didn't demand that everyone treat him like he was actually blind off camera. He won his first Academy Award for Best Actor after 8 previous nominations. These actors understood that method acting centers on preparation and internal work, not making life harder for everyone around you. Hollywood rewards extreme behavior, though, which explains why younger actors keep falling into this trap, thinking that's what success requires. Jake Gyllenhaal has spoken about feeling pressure to be a serious method actor to win awards. Nightcrawler in 2014 required losing 30 pounds. During his 2022 Saturday Night Live monologue, he joked about his pre-filming boasts, saying, "I remember for this movie Nightcrawler, I went to the director and I was like, get ready for me to lose 48 pounds and win the Oscar. And then a week later I was like, how would you like to see an actor lose 36 pounds and win the Golden Globe?" The Oscar nomination never came, which gets considered one of the decade's worst snubs. That same monologue brought Gyllenhaal a realization. "That's when I realized something I should have realized a long time ago. Acting is a really stupid job. It's pretend and it's fun, and it should be filled with joy." Trying to be a serious method actor made him forget how to have fun. Adrian Brody gave up his apartment, sold his car, disconnected his phones, and moved to Europe to prepare for The Pianist in 2002. He lost 30 pounds in 6 weeks, dropping from 160 to 130 pounds. He won the
I gotta watch them because I always see that clip right there with a nigga walking in the street crying. Like I don't know what that movie about.
30 pounds in 6 weeks, dropping from 100
Y'all all probably seen this clip on TikTok, my nigga. Don't lie.
60 to 130 pounds. He won the Academy Award for Best Actor at 29 years old, making him the youngest Best Actor winner in Academy history. But the experience left him emotionally devastated. In 2024, he told New York Magazine, "I definitely had an eating disorder for at least a year, and then I was depressed
Dang.
for a year, if not a lifetime." When asked about PTSD, he answered, "I do. Yeah." His relationship with his girlfriend fell apart. That Oscar came with a serious price. Austin Butler took commitment to an almost absurd level for Elvis in 2022. He gave 3 years where Elvis was his only focus in life, not seeing his family for about 3 years. "My family said I didn't sound like me anymore." That's how he described it. Getting so lost in the character meant he's still talking like Elvis to this day. He had to hire a dialect coach to help him get rid of the Elvis accent. In 2024, he told The Late Show, "I had a dialect coach just to help me not sound like Elvis." Waking up at 4 in the morning with excruciating pain the day after filming Wrapped sent him rushing to the hospital. "My body just started shutting down from a virus that simulated appendicitis." He won a Golden Globe and BAFTA along with an Oscar nomination, and the film made $288 million worldwide. But was 3 years of his life and a hospital visit really necessary? Jacob Elordi played Elvis and Priscilla the following year, which makes Austin Butler's story even more interesting. In October 2023, Elordi told The Tonight Show, "The most I knew of Elvis was in Lilo and Stitch. 15 minutes of prep, watching one clip,
What?
doing 2 takes for his audition delivered a spot-on impersonation." Rotten Tomatoes gave the film an 84% rating with director Sofia Coppola behind it, so apparently 3 years of your life isn't necessary to play Elvis well. Jim Carrey might have taken method acting to its most absurd extreme for Man on the Moon in 1999. Director Miloš Forman said, and this is his exact quote, "I am not exaggerating when I say that I'd never worked with Jim Carrey before. Every morning, either Andy Kaufman or Tony Clifton or Latka or Elvis or some other foreigner came to the set. Carrey refused to answer to anyone as Jim. When Foreman referred to Andy in third person, Carrey complained that, 'You talk like I'm not even here.' Keeping Limburger cheese in his pocket so he'd smell horrible became routine, and he'd constantly hug people and make them shake his hands. He requested 2 trailers, one for Andy Kaufman and one for his alter ego Tony Clifton. Showing up as Tony Clifton caused absolute chaos on set. The first day he arrived, dressed as an ice cream man with a truck. Insomnia hit director Foreman during production because he was so exhausted dealing with Carrey. 'You have to give me a chance to make a movie,' Foreman shouted at one point. 'You have to give me a chance to make a movie.' Spitting and wrestler Jerry Lawler's face during filming mimicked what the real Andy Kaufman did in 1982. Lawler grabbed Carrey, put him in a sleeper hold, and jerked his neck. Lawler later told TMZ that Carrey went a little overboard. A documentary about the production exists, called Jim and Andy, The Great Beyond. Universal withheld the footage for nearly 20 years, so people wouldn't think Carrey was an asshole. Netflix released it in 2017, and you can see the cast and crew looking genuinely miserable throughout filming. Andy Kaufman's family got dragged into this whole thing. When they visited the set, Carrey introduced himself as Andy. His daughter, who never had a relationship with her father, spent an hour talking to Carrey as Kaufman, trying to establish a relationship they never had. Andy's sister Carol said she believed Jim Carrey was a vessel and that Andy came through him. Carrey himself said later that, "I didn't know who I was anymore when the movie was over. I didn't know what my politics were. I couldn't remember what I was about. If it's so easy to lose Jim Carrey, who the hell is Jim Carrey?" He called the experience the ultimate mind and psychotic at times. Director Peter Farrelly warned him after the
Yeah, he a little schizo too at times.
film that, "Jim, you should approach this job as a vacation because you're
Yeah, what is this picture? Ayo is here. What are you doing, Fire? Why you on the back of this nigga neck smiling like this behind this nigga?
not going to live very long if you keep becoming these characters." The movie cost approximately $82 million to make, but earned only $47 million. Box office failure.
Shit was a flop.
Robert Pattinson absolutely nailed it in a Variety interview from November 2019. "I always say about people doing method acting, you only ever see people doing method when they're playing an asshole. You never see someone just being lovely to everyone going, 'I'm really deep in character.'" That's his exact quote. Has anyone ever heard of an actor method acting when they play a kind person, when they play someone generous and compassionate? Nobody has, because it's always when they're playing villains, psychopaths, or deeply troubled characters. And somehow this gives them permission to be terrible to everyone around them. Martin Freeman went even more blunt about Jim Carrey's behavior on Man on the Moon. In May 2021, he said on a podcast that, "For me, And I'm genuinely sure Jim Carrey is a lovely and smart person, but it was the most self-aggrandizing, selfish, narcissistic bollocks I have ever seen. The idea that anything in our culture would celebrate or support it is deranged, literally deranged. He should have got fired. Can you imagine if he had been anybody else? He would have been sectioned, let alone fired. Anthony Hopkins has been equally dismissive of extreme method acting. It's a pain in the ass. And I've been with actors like that, and they're a pain in the ass. They really are. That's what he said. In 2023, he added that, "I find it a waste of time because it doesn't add anything to it. You are you, with your brain." Laurence Olivier, working with Dustin Hoffman on Marathon Man in 1976, produced a famous story. Legend says that Olivier told Hoffman, "My dear boy, why don't you just try acting? It's much easier." Hoffman later clarified on Inside the Actors Studio that the press distorted this story. He wasn't staying awake for method acting purposes, he was going through a painful divorce and had actually been partying at Studio 54. Olivier understood the subtext and made the comment as gentle ribbing about Hoffman's lifestyle, not about his acting technique. Something fascinating that nobody talks about centers on how it's almost exclusively male actors who have these crazy method acting stories. Where are the women? Women who
Yeah.
act exist, but they're never nearly as disruptive as the men. Natalie Portman trained intensely for Black Swan, working 5 to 8 hours daily, 6 days a week for approximately 1 year. She lost 20 pounds, dislocated a rib, her toenails fell off, and constant muscle tears became routine. "I thought I was going to die and had to relearn how to nourish my body, not punish it." That's how she described it. She won Best Actress from the Academy, but she didn't make everyone else's job harder in the process. In January 2024, Portman explained why in a Wall Street Journal interview. "I've gotten very into roles, but I think it's honestly a luxury that women can't afford. I don't think that children or partners would be very understanding of, me making everyone call me Jackie Kennedy all the time." That's her exact quote. A fundamental truth gets pointed out here. Hollywood has historically labeled demanding or assertive women as divas or difficult, while men doing the same thing get seen as brilliant or passionate. Female actresses insisting on method behaviors that inconvenienced
Y'all sexist.
others would get pushed back real fast, and it wouldn't be tolerated. Men, meanwhile, are literally getting spoon-fed in wheelchairs by crew members who make maybe $100 a day. Kristen Stewart told the New York Times in January 2025, "Have you ever heard of a female actor that was method?" When she asked a male actor about female method actors, he responded, "Do not mention the elephant in the room. Oh, actresses are crazy." Women also often don't have the luxury of isolating themselves for months at a time, like Daniel Day-Lewis does. Mothers can't just disappear. Real life doesn't pause for them. Many of the best actresses have spoken out against method acting for exactly these reasons. Method acting crossing into actually harmful territory raises another issue. Jamie Dornan played a serial killer on The Fall and admitted in an April 2015 Los Angeles Times interview that he followed a woman off the London Underground to see what it felt like to pursue someone. It felt kind of exciting.
Dang. Your ass. What? Nigga on some smart schoolboy 9 shit. That's what that nigga was doing with kids.
In a really sort of dirty way. "I'm sort of not proud of myself." That's what he said. That's not method acting. That's stalking. That's potentially
Like,
traumatizing
bro.
a real woman
Like, bro, you gonna go to jail. Like, you could get arrested with.
for your acting process. Leonardo DiCaprio represents what you might call a part-time method actor. Committing and transforming for his roles happens, but when the camera stops rolling, he remembers he's Leonardo DiCaprio. The Revenant in 2015 had him eating real raw bison liver because the fake prop didn't look real enough. Being reportedly a vegetarian makes this even more extreme. Climbing inside a horse carcass for warmth also happened. Filming took place in freezing Alberta, Canada over 7 months, constantly risking hypothermia, and he won his first Academy Award for Best Actor. DiCaprio also shared a story about working with Daniel Day-Lewis on Gangs of New York that perfectly illustrates the difference between commitment and delusion. 2 days before they started shooting, he walked by Day-Lewis and said, "Morning, Danny." Day-Lewis just went, and walked away. Oh, game on. I don't think I said another word to him for the 9 months that we were there. That's how DiCaprio described it. DiCaprio shows what method acting was supposed to look like. Dedication without delusion. What's the answer here? Some level of preparation and commitment clearly becomes necessary to give a great performance. The answer is simple. Do your homework without making everyone else miserable. Research your role, train for it, learn new skills if you need to, but don't force everyone around you to participate in your process. Next time you hear about an actor refusing to break character, or sending disturbing gifts to castmates, or making extreme physical transformations, ask yourself whether this actually makes the performance better, or whether this is just someone using art as an excuse to be difficult. If you enjoyed this video about over-the-top method acting,
Yeah, make sure to comment, subscribe, and all those things. This was a good video, my nigga. I never knew niggas was stinking up the movie set for 4 months, not taking showers. Like, what the fuck?